buddy, what's going on? Come on over. I was just getting a little bit of wake and bake going on myself. Oh yeah, oh my God, that's so tasty. Terps, baby, it's all about the terps. This is how I like to deliver my medicine to myself. Hang tight, I'll be with you in a second. Oh damn, that's tasty. Terp, terp, terp. All right, so here's the boogie, bro. Back in the day, I was blazing, buying the 4-finger, 3-finger ounces, getting rid of the lumber and the seeds, smoking the swag. But I loved to blaze. I was rolling up joints all day long, and then you realize it was expensive. So then you shift over to the pipe because it's more affordable. The bong, stuff like that. You feel the vibes, right? Well, anyways, that was back in the day. And you notice, you know, your old pipes would get gooey and you scraped it out. We used to call that hash rosin. We were so poor that when you had the dry spells, you went searching for roaches, always saved your roaches, you unrolled them, even smoked the paper. That's how desperate we got, guys. It was tough times. You have no idea. I know some of you cats watching and going, yeah, I went through that too. I know, I feel you, brother. I went through it. But later in life, what happened was I noticed that I was just wheezing in the morning and I was hacking up a lung, and it was getting bad. And about 15 years ago, I discovered that you could take the flower itself, because I prefer flower. I'm not a concentrate guy. I know people have said that, hey, how come you don't do concentrates? A little too strong for me, that's all. I just know my medicine, I know what I like. I'm a low dose guy. Back in the early days, I was blazing with the best of yous. I could burn all day long. The wake and bake was the best. You got to the plateau and you chased it the rest of the day. But I noticed I was hacking up a lung and it felt crappy, and I was like, you know what? I got to figure out a better way. I knew the volcanoes were out there, but they were expensive. Those for the rich kids. And that you could fill up a bag full of vaporized, cannabis, basically. And so I discovered the pens that you could use, like Pax pens, and there's many others today, where you could put a little bit of flour in the chamber, which is an oven. This is a battery, basically, and I can set the heat temperature to the levels I like. It's like, you like low temp hits or high temp hits? Well, when I first pack it, like this morning, I'm puffing on Emergency, which is absolutely just delicious. It's an excellent sativa lena, citrusy, very tasty, uplifting. I want to go do stuff, like we're going to talk about in just a minute, that stuff. But as you get older, you start to realize I need to deliver in a more effective way. And so I found that vaporization, which basically it's the chamber heating up the resin heads and releasing the cannabinoids, like THC, the one we really like. Now THC, if it's not heated, it's THCA, tetrahydrocannabinol acid. When you heat it up, like when you're burning a joint, that cherry is activating the weed. It's releasing the acid molecule, the carbolic molecule, they call it, or something like that. I could be saying it wrong, but it doesn't matter. You get the point. You heat it up, you're getting high. So I found that using vaporization cleared up my lungs. I wasn't hacking up a lung, I wasn't wheezing, it cleared it up, and I get the delivery of what I need. See, it's about delivering the medicine that you need in the way that you like it. Like you might like it a certain way. Maybe you like dabs, maybe you like shatter, BHO, clean bubble hash, stuff like that. Or maybe you just like a little puff every once in a while. Now I'm a low dose user now. And typically I don't do it during the day. Today I have an open schedule, which is rare. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's a beautiful sunny day. I'm about to show you guys. Blessed to be on this earth one more day and to share with my friends how to work with the sacred plant so that you can have your own supply. I'm Joe D, coming to you almost live at the Outdoor City Grown Studios. We call this Growing in the City. It started years and years ago, 1987, when I got my start, and sneaking around growing the weed and not telling anybody. It was some trying times. It was scary times, but I needed my weed. My weed made me feel good. And I also realized in time as I aged that the weed has a tendency to find you. When you just put that thought out, I need, you know how the world works, right? We're part of the matrix. This is a program reality, bro. Oh yeah, you don't know? Do some Google search. It's just ones and zeros. It's code. And you can control it by your thoughts. Thoughts become things. I want you to look like this device here. This is a thought in its purest sense, because someone some engineer thought up, and maybe multiple engineers thought up how to make this device to heat up my cannabis, to release the cannabinoids so I could have a delivery mechanism for my medicine in the way that I need it. That's a thought, my friend. So thoughts become things. So make sure you take good care of what you're thinking about, always thinking about. If you're always, oh, doom, I'll never make it. We have those friends, right? Doom and gloom. Like, dude, I can't have you in my space, bro. I need energy, I need positive. See, we emanate an energy field. It's called a toroidal field, and it starts at your heart. Yeah, if you don't believe me, Google it. All this shit is fine, you can find it. Validate what I'm saying. There's an energetic field. It looks like an apple, like a magnet, right? And you can expand and contract it. You can attract the things you want by the dominant thoughts that you have. And if you want to know the real secret, the trick, wait till this truck drives by, making the noise. Noise everywhere. Everybody's making vibrations. Anyways, to make a short story long, is the secret to it is to write it down on a piece of paper. You bring it out of thought energy, which is in a fiction. It's a different realm. If you wanted to affect this realm, take the order. What can I get you? Write it down, like a server in a restaurant. Welcome to Joey D's Emporium. What can I get you? Write it down. You're taking it out of thought energy, making it go through the muscle, and you put it on the piece of the paper, and then all of a sudden you look at it, okay, that's what I want. Okay, cool, I liked it. When do you want it? Now? Yesterday? Week from now? 6 months? Be realistic. Write those things down. That's just called goal setting. I'll do a whole video on that separately, guys, because it's like a miracle. It works, trust me. I've done it for years. I taught all my employees how to do it, and all of a sudden you start to learn how to play the game. It's like gaming, like sim, right? If you're a racer, if you're a drift guy and you're playing the Sims to learn to do it better in the real life, you're playing in a fictional land, but you're practicing, right? And then you go actually do it. So thoughts become things, my friends. And let's think about these plants this morning. Now let's see, it's August 25th. I'm gonna I just shut this off, so that is no longer cooking. Nope, not cooking. Anyways, it's August 25th. I woke up this morning, came out, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'll put together a video. This is video 21. So it's a series. So if you go back to the very first one, it'll tell you the story of how this all began. Now, moved to this property just a couple months ago, had no intentions of doing outdoor growing this year. I've done that. I was gonna focus on getting situated and setting up my indoor grow. So you'll get to see that unboxing, and you'll see the build outs, and I'm gonna build it in a way that, like, just anybody that's just getting started would understand. I'm not gonna build an elaborate, room. I've done those. I'm gonna build it simplistic using tents, easy to use tents. You set up, you got an instant grow room. We're gonna get into that for the indoor season. At the end of this season here, you're gonna see how we harvest, how we wash the flower. Oh yeah, I wash it off, man. I get the cucca off. You'll see that. You're gonna wanna know about that, especially if you had problems like PM and things that you wanna try to neutralize. We'll get into that. But we're coming into a risky part of the season. Oh, let me just finish that story. I got squirrel. Whoop, squirrel. That happens to the best of us. This project here was, I try to express it up front because I usually get comments, and I get it. Some people just discover me and they just don't realize that this is a part of a movie series, and this is scene number 21. But the plants had a way of finding me, and they have for years, and same with you. If you're watching this, it's because cannabis found you and maybe saved you. It saved a lot of us. So shout out in the comments if cannabis actually saved you, if you made it this far in the video, because some people got the flicker syndrome. Doop, 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 doop. Can't pay attention too long. My objective here is to share what I've discovered. I'm not here to say I'm the best grower in the world. I just grow good pot. I want to teach you what I've discovered. Your comments are positive to help out. I might not know something because I hid in a closet for many years, not telling a soul that I was growing weed and I had my own supply. I've never been into a dispensary because I didn't need to. I have my own, and I have variety. That's the best part of this, is you can have variety, and I've made my own varieties by pollen chucking. You can see that. Go back and watch some of the older videos, or go over to the Instagram. I post a lot of stuff over there too. But anyways, these flowers here, or these plants, they're flowering now, but they found me. There was a small group that found me. A friend had a problem. I said, I'll help you out with 4. And then another Another friend said, hey, I got a problem with these. Do you want them? All right, I'll take them. And the third friend goes, hey, I got extras. And I'm like, ooh, you got good genetics. I do want to, yeah, I definitely want those. So they kept finding me. I was not prepared to do outdoors. So I'm trying to do this on a snug budget. I don't want to waste money on this because some of you have found out doing outdoor growing that it can get very challenging. And you can get those botrytis molds and the caterpillar internal bud rot because they're eating inside your flowers, and you lose a lot of your crop. And then there's theft. That's the other thing. You got to worry about theft. You know, I'm telling the world what I got here. Well, I've got some defenses here. You don't want them to jump on you because they will rip your leg off. I'm just saying. This is a fenced yard. I have guard dogs that are easy. They're free roam. They can come out when they need to. If they hear something, they usually come flying out here in the middle of the night, chasing rabbits and skunks and all sorts of stuff. We hate the skunk one. But anyways, just the point is that protect your stuff, and also be aware that you're going to run into challenges. It's choosing the genetics. If you choose the genetics properly, you'll have a fighting chance. It's like odds at the casino. If you can do what dice influence, I love craps. Dice influence may give me an edge a little bit. But over here, it's choosing the genetics. That's the other point. These are not my plants, and I didn't choose the genetics. So I'm trying to use this as an educational series for you guys, my friends that want to learn, and those that are already growing, and some of you cats that, I love your comments, like, man, I was there, I rode the train, Acapulco Gold, yes, baby. Then we got the Colombian Gold, the Panama Reds, the Thai Stick. Oh, was it dipped in opium or not? I don't know, I never got one, but I did get Thai Stick, but it wasn't dipped in opium. Everybody thought that. I don't know if that's truth or fiction. Maybe somebody can comment that really rode that train. I didn't ride that train at that time. But those were the weeds that I grew up on. And then Northern Lights comes along. Yeah, skunk weed comes along. Yeah, baby, now we're really rocking. Then we're getting the beasters, and then we're getting the hydros. All of a sudden, flow of different weeds started hitting the market. Then the names began. I remember the early days, the only name that I ever remember in the beginning, we used to call it lamb's breath. Turns out it's not lamb's breath, it's lamb's bread. And the Jamaicans coined that name, and when you got some of that, you're like, oh man, I got the lamb's bread. And then the real names started coming. So these all have different names, they're crosses, and the genetics are, there's some breeders that have done some phenomenal work, and there's some that have done, all right, okay. But the genetics keep getting crossed, and so one of the things I want to do with the indoor project this year is I reached out to Todd McCormick, and if you don't know Todd McCormick, just Google his name and then look him up, agseedco.com, I believe it is. That's his seed company, but he's a character that's been in cannabis since the beginning. He comes from the East Coast in the New England area, moved to California many years ago, has a really incredible story. And I reached out and I said, you know, I want to get some of your old genetics, and the genetics I'm looking for, and he has, is Purest Indica. That is a baseline for a lot of development over the years. So I'm like, okay, I've got that. Now this will be the second pack of seeds I've ever purchased. And I'm not bragging. It's just that I had a need to make seeds. I had to learn how to do it. The first time I did it was by accident. Purely accident. I stressed the plant by going in, turning the lights on and off at random times, because if I worked late that night, I'd go to my little grow when I first started, and I'd go flip the lights on when they were supposed to be off. We don't do that. But we'll get into that when we get into the indoor stuff to teach you new cats. The little things, I call them the little potholes here and there along the way. I know where they are because I've crawled out of all of them several times, and I want to share what I discovered. But back to the seeds, the first pack was in 2013. I bought to help a guy out. They were regular seeds. I made about 10,000 seeds from that and gifted it out to all types of people. I felt like Johnny Appleseeds, handing out the seeds to people. I don't sell seeds, by the way. So anybody that's like, hey, I'm not competing with you. I'm not looking to sell seeds. I like to make seeds for the fact that I like how she looks. And man, if you got together and what if those two got crossed? I wonder what would happen. I love that curiosity. So I'll pollen chuck, or I'll do reversals. I'll use product to spray it to stress the plant, to block the ethylene production, to stress it so it makes its own male pollen sacs that are void of the Y chromosome so that we make feminized pollen. Okay, there's a little babble for you, but you'll learn about that too, because I'm going to teach you how to do it. But back to the story of Todd McCormick. Second pack of seeds was his Purest Indica. I received those recently. I'm going to do an unboxing of all that and talk about it. And my strategy over the last probably 6 years, if you look at some of my older videos, you'll see that when I'm in my greenhouse, I'm using the greenhouse mostly for seed development and breeding development. And there was some really interesting things that did come out of that, those years that I was playing around. And so what I like to do is say, okay, I want to take that one, get that genetic on it because I like the traits of this for this reason, the taste. I like it because of the growth, the vigor, the yield, all these factors come into play. And then I'm going to play around and have some fun. We're going to do that this winter inside in the indoor grow. So I'm going to set up several tents just for doing this process. And then I'm going to teach you also indoor growing. I've been doing that for quite some time, but outdoor is probably only the last 10 years. I've been playing around with it. Again, back to the story. They're not my plants. I didn't choose the genetics, but I've been handed a set of cards. I've got to play the hand. And I'm playing strategy right now. And that strategy is this. I got to figure out, okay, how to get to the finish line. That's the hardest part with outdoor. Right now, the sun is blazing. I'm getting this energy. You can feel it. The plants are getting those photons. Those photons are hitting the leaf surface. They're waking up. You're starting to see them wake up and pray. This morning, they were soaking wet from the dew from overnight, the temperature change. That's the real risky part. As these flowers thicken up, that's the challenge. We're going to have a challenge there, and I'm trying to strategize. So I got the hand of cards. Beautiful sun collecting those photons. The plant takes that, and overnight it processes that and creates photosynthesis in the chlorophyll that the plant needs, and then also the carbohydrates, and it stores it in the leaves. That's the energy. So they're solar collectors. Now, what we're going to talk about today is getting rid of some of those solar collectors. Oh yeah, I know what you're feeling. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I remember when I first started to learn about getting rid of the small growth down below. Boy, did it hurt. I was like, whoa, don't do that. Because that little bud, I remember the days when I was scraping bowls with resin and putting it on paper and calling it hash oil. Yeah, what do you got, anything good? Yeah, I got some hash oil on the paper, bro, and I'm gonna roll up the good earth. Here, have a hit. Remember those days? The kid that would slobber on your joint? In and out of the mouth. I'm like, yeah, I'm all set. I'm good. What do you mean you don't want to get high? You said you want to get high earlier. No, now I don't. And today, whoa, everybody should have their own joint. It's like a cigarette. People aren't sharing cigarettes unless you were a young guy and you had no money. We did that too. But anyways, back on track. Today we're going to talk about how to thin those solar panels so that we maximize the output benefit at the end of the season. See, right now it's not about how many flowers or buds you get off it, how many flowers or buds finish. See, we're August 25th. We're just getting started. Yeah. So we're looking at, from this point here, we're probably 6 weeks, maybe 8. Some of these genetics, because they're not my genetics, I didn't choose them. I don't know the average growth times. I haven't spent that time because time is money. So I don't know, are they an 8-week or 9-week or 10-week plant? When we talk about weeks, for those new growers that don't, why are they always talking weeks? We're talking about the point of flowering. So the flowering cycle, or some people will, the seed packs will say days. How many days? That's in the flower cycle, not from the start to finish. Because when you germinate a seed, it takes some time. And if they're regular seeds, you won't know you have males until you actually go into the flower cycle. So you get these beautiful looking structures. You want to talk about pain? You got these beautiful plants and you're excited. It grew faster than everything else and it got vigorous and it looks like a beast, and man, that's gonna have some big buds. And all of a sudden, it's got dingle balls. It doesn't have pistils and a bract. It has dingle balls, baby. Look at that. Female, male, and if they open up, they're gonna pollinate everything. They like to chuck it around. There you go, baby. All right, let's dive in, guys. I'm gonna bring you in with me. Hopefully I can get this thing, basically, I wanna get it so it focuses right. What I'm gonna do is, you can see that sunshine there, right? That thing's been blazing me in the face. Let me point that up. Yeah, look at that. But perfectly blue sky. Oh, gotta love that. All right, my friends, I'm gonna flip the camera around. We're gonna take a little walk through. Take a look at the ladies. Here we go, flip that over, and there you go. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. All right, so this first bank in here, these were all planted directly into, put my camera down a little bit. They were actually planted right into, these ones right here, the actual soil bags. So these are Roots Original soils from Aurora Innovations out of Eugene, Oregon. I've used that soil for years, absolutely great. loaded with perlite. It's got all the goodies, all the organics in there. I have been feeding them. This is Lush. Lush is their super soil. Excellent. I love that stuff. And if you take that and you combine it with Stonington blend from Coast of Maine, you have something amazing. So I would do a 1 bag to 1 bag or 50-50, however you want to look at it. Absolutely stunning performance, just the discovery I had. I like to play with soils, cocoa, deep water culture, all that. This is a deep water culture bucket right here, as a matter of fact. I'll be doing some of that this winter, so I'm going to teach you how to do hydroponic growing, because some people don't have the situation. This is the other thing. I know you organic guys are out there. I'm an organic guy too. I love it. But as you start to discover, it's about what you can work with, right? Some people just don't have that luxury of finance. They don't have the luxury of, okay, I got a nice bag of soil and I got to drag it into my apartment and then I'm going to make a mess and then I got to get rid of the root ball. You might want to look at hydroponic growing. Yeah, there's a choice and a solution to get to the end result, which is the medicine that you need. So those were all planted in those bags because roots, they were pretty creative. They made them pleated bottoms so that allowed them to sit flat just like that. Now, when you, ooh, this one's beautiful. Squirrel! This one is black ice. This is a, let me just see if I can get you guys in and take a look at this. This thing is flowering fast and it's resonating. That's the Mac 1 was a short cycle. Hopefully you guys can see that. I can't see the view screen to actually see if you guys are actually seeing it. I apologize. Let's see if I go down here. Oh, there we go. But hopefully you're getting a good view because I can't see the view screen because it's so sunny out right now. And my eyeglasses turn black in the sun, as you may have noticed. But anyways, that one is very interesting. I did work with the Mac 1 caps cut, an original, for probably about 4 years, maybe 5, I think, right around 4 years. And then I started crossing it with other things. Very difficult, doesn't like to take pollen. The maturity rate on your seeds is very, very small. Maybe 5%, 2% will mature because of that factor. I won't get into the details of that right now, but however, I'm looking at the structure of this. I have to see. So I'm going to keep my eye on this cross here of the black ice because it is Mac 1 crossed with Oreo cookies. It has some really strong potential for crossbreeding. But back to the Todd McCormick story, the purest indica, I want to go back in time and start taking old school and introduce it to new school genetics. I've been doing that for about 6 years, and I would have to say I've pulled out, again, everybody has their opinion, probably a half a dozen really unique genetics and probably a dozen nice crosses that worked well. So I did those projects and did some collaborations with some artists and stuff like that and made some really, really cool genetics. Look at this cicada, if you can see this. These are the bugs that make almost like a violin sound with their, sounds like a loud pitched noise. Let's see it right there. That is a cicada. And those wings, what they do is they rub them together and make that squeaking noise you hear in the background. Actually, most of that stuff is cricket types. This one makes a really loud buzzing, but what a unique creature. You can stay, he doesn't bother anything, or she, whatever it is. All right, squirrel. You gotta have a laugh when you're having fun, my friends. All right, so what I'm trying to do is go back to the original codes that a lot of the giants before us had worked with. You know, the Skunk Man Sam, David Watson, and these other guys. I don't know all their names. Todd, he's the guy, he knows it. He holds and preserves the old school genetics. And so if you're looking for the old school, go to AG Seedco and load up, get your genetics. So you'll see that project as we open it up and do some crossings. All right, so today, back to looking at structures and then also getting ready for, that's right, some trimming. A good pair of shears helps. This is just a pair of good stainless steel shears. I'm very happy with these. I've had them for probably about 2 years or so. I keep the edges sharp. That's also important too. You got to keep a good edge and keep them clean. These are actually stainless steel with fluorine coating. Fluorine resists resin buildups when you're trimming. I don't know about that. If it's real resin, it's going to build up pretty quick, but not as bad as most scissors. But anyways, we're going to go in and we're going to thin some of these down. But I'm thinking ahead in time, forward in time. I'm thinking 6-8 weeks from now, or even the next 4 weeks, how these flowers in here are starting to thicken up. As you can see them starting to bulk inside. They're starting to put on their resins. The glandular trichome, that's where we get our stuff. You can see that little bract in there, the little hair that will come out shortly. So these are probably, this is in week 3, I would estimate, based on that look and that structure. If I go over to the one next to it right here, this seems to be more like week 2. See, there's not as much buildup in the flowers, as you can see in there. But this one is more defined. But again, it was started earlier. This is the first bank here in the gray bags. You probably see them as white online because it's not perfect coloring. Those are 30-gallon cloth bags. The grower that started these was his first year. He did a fantastic job. He just went a little aggressive on the manipulations. This one's not so bad, but I always look at the future. Your actions, when it's a little thing, result in the outcome at the end. And then also some of the little manipulations you do along the way, like we'll get to one down there that I did just a tiny bit. I didn't do much, actually I didn't do any other manipulation on any of the other plants. I left them the way that the grower did, except for the one down the end, because I could see where it was going and what I wanted to accomplish with it. But yeah, we have all types of genetics. FLC, that's Franco's lemon cheese. In here, we've got Blue Zushi. We also have Baby Yoda. There's also, I forget, there's a couple other ones. Astronaut status, I think. 24. I don't know, I have to get down and look at all the tags. I don't really focus on the genetics. Oh, look at that beautiful honeybee. Guys, this is important. You see that honeybee there? Hopefully you can see it. I'm in the bright sunlight, so it's hard for me to see it. It's cleaning itself right now. But there it is right there. Without them, we die. No food. They're pollinators. Look at that, he's not aggressive. He just, I'm not bothering him. I'm just looking and appreciating what it's doing, or she actually. The drones are back at the hive at the apiary. So that means that bee is collecting pollen and keeping our plants pollinated so we have food. So it's important that the point I was trying to get to is the products you spray on your plants. Be aware, you want them to be friendly, bee friendly. All right, so I always encourage that. Good organics, you won't hurt it. Now this is the one here that got manipulated, and just a tiny bit, the tiniest bit. Now we did LST on this, so we pushed down all these, opened it up. I could see it had more of a thin leaf drug cultivar look, or as known in the street nomenclatures as sativa. See that thin leaf there? That kind of expresses like the sativas do. You can see there's nice thin leaves up here, same thing. And you can also see as this flower starts to evolve and mature, the leaf count, it could be a 7 leaf, let me see, 3, 4, 5, yeah, it's a 7 leaf count down here. So when you look at the petiole right there, you can see that's a 7 leaf. And as they're growing, they'll go 7, you know, they actually go in odd numbers, 3, 7, 9, 11. I've seen 13, but very rare. But then as they flower, they start to revert back. This is now down to a 5, and then it'll drop to a 3, and then to single leaves. But if you can see in there, my view screen's tough because of the sunlight, but the glandular trichomes are beginning to develop, and this thing smells beautiful. The estrus on this is amazing. All right, so right now it's the highest point is probably just approaching 8 feet over there. And here's where I did the manipulation. All right, so let me use the comparison right here. First off, let me get you guys. All right, this flower right here, this flower here is just a single structure with some small buds or, you know, little branching underneath. It's not quite sticking out. You can see it better from this angle here. And I did no manipulation to this branch right here. Same with this one right here. No manipulation. So this will all fill in. That'll be nice. It's going to be a nice cola. It'll be happiness. Good morning, Nala. Nala's dropping a doo-doo over there. She's one of my guard dogs. Sorry to bother you. Okay, let me get back to my point here. Squirrel, Joe, squirrel. There we go, straighten it back out. All right, so this one, that one there, and that one there, and also that one right there. All of those I did a manipulation, just a simple topping. I'm going to find the little nub where it started. There it is, right in there. So right at the tip of my scissor, my shear, you should be able to see that. That little nub is where I topped it, and what it did is it sends hormones up to repair, and while it's doing that, it's stalling at that point of going up, like this one is. It's going up, right? It stops that, and all of a sudden you got lateral growth that starts pushing out, and then these add more tops because they're coming outward. That little manipulation increases your yield. Just understanding little. Now, I got to preface this. Not every plant and genetic responds like that one did. This one is like, I'm wowed. I'm like, yeah, baby. So that means a lot more yield. Because this particular side of the project is, we're sharing. So the original grower, I said, listen, I'll help you out. We'll split the yield. Cool. Now over in this one here, you can see the structures. These are big flowers coming up. Oh boy, do those look sexy. Those are going to be monsters. But they could be a monster problem. That monster problem is that dew that sits inside. So I'm going to be looking at strategies. Right now I'll be using the Dr. Zymes. I will probably be using some HOCl. That's hypochlorous acid, a very low dose. That will neutralize any of the spores. So I have a machine, I can make my own. You'll see that video coming soon. And yeah, everybody's looking pretty good. You know, this one's up at 6 feet right now. That looks beautiful. Get you guys in there. Now the other thing I'm just wrapping up is the automatic watering system here. Now I had a problem if you watched the other video. By the way, this is video 21. If you have time or whenever you want, go back to number 1 and work your way forward, because I'm dropping knowledge along the way of different techniques, different things that you might want to, you know, put in your database, right? All right, so I dropped this, I dropped the filter, and the end broke off because it had a wand on it. It had a spray nozzle. And I just put it down on the ground while I was filling the tank over there. That blue tank right there was getting filled. I put it on the ground and it hit just at the right angle and it snapped off. And I'm like, crap. So problem, reaction, solution, I fixed it. So basically I JB welded it. I don't know if it worked. I hope it did. We're about to find out, because I'm going to pressurize it after this video. And then this will be going direct feed. So I'm going to put a filter right at the end here. I'm going to get another one of these so I can have it for filling my tank. I have it on a quick disconnect here, so if I want to change this out, I want to be able to have a quick disconnect on both sides. The reason is because I want to push organics through here. I also want to push clean water from the hose, from the tap. So I'm going to have this set up so I can quick disconnect this, just like this. Just pops right out. Boom. So that just popped right out like that. And I'm going to put another one on the opposite end. And when I do that, then I can take this out and do a direct feed, and then I can pump a different line. So I'll put another quick disconnect. So as I'm brewing up teas, I'll just put a pump in here, and I can take the brewed up tea and I can push it right through the whole system. There's my other attack dog right there. Oh, that's Nala. I thought it was the other one. The other one would be blasting around. She's like, oh, I need breakfast. Like, I'll be there soon. All right, so anyways, this is all, I just finished it up, got the last components. Now it has to be tested, and then I have to find out pressures, if pressures are okay, if I'm gonna get some equal distribution. I'm confident I will, because I've done this before, rode this train a few times, and we'll see what happens inside here as far as getting this thing functioning, because they're gonna start drinking more and more. Remember, we're just starting flower. Week 2, week 3, right around now, yeah, they're gonna start drinking. And so I can't be out here hand watering this every day. I don't have that time. I think somebody in one of my comments on one of the videos says, how do you have so much time for this? This is a full-time job. Yeah, this is a side gig. This is a tiny bit of what I do. So that's why I always come out early in the morning. Today I happen to have a flexible schedule, so now I can work on a bunch of little loose ends of things that I'm working on. But I do want to do is to show you guys how to get in there and start trimming. So I'm going to do this in another scene, and I'll actually incorporate it into this. So I'll edit it in. Okay, guys. So we're looking at this one here, which is in the Lush bag. This is one of Ed Growen's, and let's see, what are we working with here? This one is animal face. And we're doing some trimming. So what I'm going to do is a little thinning on this. So what I do is I look first at the structure of the plant, and then I look down like on the sunshine looking in, and I can see all the shadowing down deep inside here. All right, so if I take this branch here and I just move it down a little bit, I'm going to see there that I'm going to have some little tiny larvae buds down low. So I'm going to clean that up and get those out. So I'm going to now bring up my little trusty stand here so you guys can watch me do this. Let me just set up the camera. Bear with me a second. All right, let me just make sure that this thing is pointing down because it wants to point up. All right, let me just double check the view. Gotta go behind it and check. See if I can see the subject matter that we're gonna work on right here. That looks like we are, yes, perfect. Perfecto. All right. All right, so here's how I look at it, guys. I take a branch, I start with a lower branch. I know that this cola will make its way up as it ages. It'll probably be up somewhere around here in the next couple of weeks. But down below, there's stuff in here that won't make it. And this is the hardest part for a grower to do, by the way, is to get in there and actually trim little branches. You want to, if you have good sharp shears, it's beneficial. Just cuts off clean. So go buy a brand new pair of scissors or whatever you're going to do. All right, so I've just cut off. Let me get that little piece right there. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've taken off 5 nodes. So a node is each one of these little branches where they're coming out. We call that a node. So now I'm going to look at this down a little further. So I might want to take probably 1 or 2 more. And so basically these are down this low. I look at them as suckers. Now, if you're using this plant for a different method for extraction, you might want to leave them there because then you can do an extraction. This particular project, we wanted to do it towards flower, and then anything that doesn't make it towards the end of flower would then become some sort of an extract, edible, something like that. Maybe, you know, we'll use some bubble hash or different things. All right, so now I'm going to look at these 3 here. So it's got a good, something I think will grow up here, something that will grow up here. I'm going to leave those for now. Then I'm going to get in and I'm going to go to the next branch. Same thing. I'm just going to look at it and go, hey, you know what? You're just sucking juice. All right, so I look at each one of these branches as like a pipeline, like the hose in your yard. Imagine you have a hose going from your house to your plants, right? And along the way, your hose has got all these little taps coming off of it, your neighbors and someone else at the house. And by the time it gets to you, the pressure is gone. There's like nothing there, not enough. So you can't wash your car then, right? So that's why I look at these as like a hose, it's a pipeline. It's bringing the nutrients up and it's feeding this section here. Down below, this is drawing off of it. So I'm going to get rid of that. Now inside here, there's a little, this one's going to hurt. This is the ones that hurt, but I'm used to it now. I just took that whole section out. Boy, if I needed a clone, oh my God, that would be a perfect clone right there. Look, I don't need the clone. I'm not going to take it because it's an outdoor plant. I don't take outdoors and bring them indoors. It's just my rule of thumb. I've followed that for years. But I'm going to show you how to cut a clone right here. It's real simple. You're just going to get rid of this lower growth. You want 3 to 4 on the top, right? I have several nodes in here which will become root sites if it's down below in the substrate, depending on whether you're using rock wool or root riot plugs or even going right into soil. If you want to go that way, you could. There's all different ways, and I'm going to cut it just at a slight angle, right about there. You can see a little angle right there. That's it's going to allow for more root exposure to the hormone, and that's it. There's your perfect clone. Now, a lot of us like to cut the tips to slow down the transpiration rate. We just pull it into your fist like this. I learned this from Kevin Jodrey years ago. Brilliant guy. I've been watching all his stuff for years. Just pull it in here, right, and it brings all the tips into the same little spot. And I just go like that. If you're doing a lot of clones, man, that is a time saver. Other than that, you're doing individuals. So that's going to reduce the transpiration rate that the plant needs. Remember, it's got no roots. So that'll be another video we'll do this winter as we moved from the outdoor to the indoor. I'll teach you how to do clones, get a cutting. That's what I had to do in the early days because I didn't know how to do clones. You know, I had another grow partner 5 years after, well, a couple years after Jeff left. So Jeff left 2 years into it. Actually, that was about 3 years. At the third year mark, I was moving the location because I was growing skunkweed. That's, you know what that means. The whole neighborhood knew. They didn't know what I was doing, but they thought there was dead skunks around. Anyways, short story long is that I found another friend that wanted to learn how to grow, and I said, okay, let's do this. And I said, we got to figure out how to do clones because this is too slow doing seeds. So we tried it, and boy, I'll tell you that story when we start doing the clone section. But let's stay right here and do the trimming. So I'm going to go through this plant and all the other ones and this morning, and I'll get them tuned up. You'll also, in video number 22, which will be scene 22, I'll show you what they look like in that one. So again, I'm going down each branch. I'm just going to get rid of the little suckers in here. Don't need them. Now I'm doing it a little slow so for your benefit, so you can see this process. Normally I just go boop, boop, boop. I whip through it and just look inside. I look at little branching inside, like this one inside here. This little branch right in here is not going to make it to the top. It's going to get choked out, and it's sucking off one main branch, so that's got to go. Again, this is kind of like a little work of art when you're doing it. And you get used to it, and you go like, okay. And believe me, you'll try techniques that don't work for you, but don't work for the genetic either. That's the other thing. Some genetics, when you do manipulations, they have a different response. But you'll learn them. But as far as thinning, just don't go crazy. I'm going to clean up. So this is called lollipopping. So now this looks like a lollipop. This looks like a lollipop. Same here. I'll get rid of, again, this lower growth. Clip that off. This whole branch is going to have a hard time because it's so low to make it to the top. So I'm going to get rid of a lot of the nodes on this one. And I'm going to push the energy. Again, remember, it's a hose. Like a hose, you've got taps. Get rid of the taps, the pressure gets more. And it pushes the energy to the area that's most valuable, the tops, right? Because if you've ever trimmed outdoor weed, some of you cats, you should pipe up in the comments. Yeah, I've done it. That's why they call it trim jail, because you're there forever, unless you've got power tools, you know, trimmers and stuff like that, or friends. No friends show up though. They show up when the weed's ready. They're smart. Are we the dumb ones? No, because we have our own supply, and we can help sick people. So you give some away and watch the miracles happen in your life. Positive things happen. Energy in equals energy out. You know, I always try to have the philosophy, do unto others as I want them to do to me, and that's just biblical. And I'm not a religious guy, I'm a spiritual guy. There's a total difference to that. You know, I know what the religions are. Grew up in it, but it's not for me. I want to treat people the way I want to be treated. Treat them with kindness, treat them like family. You know, do for them if you can. You know, even just having a conversation with someone helps them. So, yeah. And so what I'm doing with you is having a conversation to show you how to improve your growth so that you have a better supply, a consistent supply. So here's one here. I'm going to get rid of that because it's down low. Now be careful and take your time, because you make a mistake, you're cutting off a nice little branch. Believe me, you'll sit there and weep for a minute. You're like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. Yeah, you did. You did it. Because you are hurrying. This is a game of patience, my brothers and sisters. Patience. Take your time. All right, so that's just a quick look there. Let's take you guys. Now let's go look at some of the bigger ones while this thing is still running before it overheats. Let's go take a look. All right. So I'm going to come around over here. All right, this one's not too bad. It's this one here and that one over there that I'm most concerned about, because we look at how dense it is in here. It's very, very dense. So this one is going to need a little bit of special work, and I think what I need to do with this before I get in there, because we've done a lot of the underneath already, I think here what I need is more stakes and to pull these out like this. So next time you see this, I'm waiting for stakes to come in to the grow store. Once they do, I'll be grabbing a couple packs and they'll be pushing this out further. Then I'll make a decision on the thinning. This one here, yep, I can get inside here and I can get rid of some of this inner growth that's not going to serve. It's going to just be little larvae, little things, and also potential mold factors because of the fact that there's no airflow in here. So I just got rid of all of that there. Probably get rid of one more. There you go, right there. and I'll get inside here. See if I can get you guys in there with me. Let me fix this thing. Sorry. All right, so if I look at this branch here, get rid of that. Get rid of that. And then there's branches inside here that just shouldn't be there. They're not going anywhere. Same down in here. You'll get used to it. It's hard in the beginning, like, I need that, especially when you need weed and you rely on your own supply. I get you, bro. I do. There we go. So get that cleaned up, get it out of there. It's hot right now because the sun's out. There's one I'm going to get rid of because it's... And some of these will be big. When you see me cut them down, you'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about the end game. Am I even going to make it there? That's the thing. You know, this strategy is about survival and getting the finish, right? So you guys get the idea. I got to go through a lot of that and just clean them in the intersections out. And then the air will flow through. Like right now, you can see them dancing a little bit from the breeze. That's good stuff. But in the morning, these things were soaking wet. And these flowers are going to get soaking wet. So, all right, guys, I've kept you here long enough. I appreciate you hanging out. Shout out, where are you from? Where are you watching from? What state, what country? And we'll continue this process. So I'm going to get in, continue cleaning up. I'm going to test the water system, make sure it'll pump through. I may have to go to the hardware store and get a few components. And then, of course, I've got to process this video, which is another thing that eats time. Time. Is there never enough time? What is time? Well, time is an illusion, my friend. It's man-made to keep you acting as a slave. Yeah, that's right, we all are. But we got to free ourselves with the knowledge. If you can grow weed, you can grow food, my friend, if you have a space for it. So I'm looking forward to maybe next year. On the other side of that fence is a plot, and I'm going to work with my neighbor on that. There's a nice big area. We're going to have to thin some of those trees, and maybe some stuff in here because I have a good sunlight coming over, and grow some food. I love growing my own food. It's clean, healthy, organic. It's good for the body, good for the soul. All right, guys, appreciate you all. And as always, I hope some resins bless your bowl today. You live in peace, happiness, and when you can, sharing is caring. See ya.